What is going on, everyone? Who wants to hear about the Steel City, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? It's also called the City of Bridges and the City of Champions. Pittsburgh is a city in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in the United States of America, and we've all talked about this before. Pennsylvania is a Commonwealth, not a state. There really isn't much of a difference, so stop typing. The average person doesn't care about the small little differences between the two. A friend from Honesdale, Pennsylvania told me that they call it a state most of the time and only bring up Commonwealth when they want to feel educated and correct someone from out of state. Pittsburgh was founded on November 27, 1758, and became an incorporated city on March 18, 1816. Now, if I sound a little biased on this one, it's because I am. I'm a die-hard Cleveland Browns fan. If you know anything about American football, you know the Pittsburgh Steelers have consistently beat the Browns twice a year for the last 3 or 4 decades. So yeah, I'm biased. The City of Bridges is a great city. It's filled to the brim with hard-working, down-to-earth people. I visited about 3 years ago, and other than a handful of things, I really like the city. Maybe you want to check it out. Maybe you're thinking about relocating. Before you do, you should watch my top 10 reasons not to move to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Number 10, poor infrastructure. The infrastructure in the city is crumbling. The roads are destroyed. There's a total of 446 bridges that need repairs. 20 of them are considered structurally deficient. You know everyone loves crossing anything that's been labeled structurally deficient. It's why I don't cross my cousin's wife. Because of all the renovations that need to be done, you can expect extensive construction anywhere in the city for the next few years. And that always does wonders for the traffic. Number 9, drivers. Pittsburgh drivers are the worst. It's as if the DMV is just handing out licenses with no tests. They don't care. Just show up. We'll give you a license. What are the requirements here? You must have one eye, one hand. If you don't have any of the above, you must have a hook and a very well-trained seeing eye dog with nerves of steel. That's a real thing, but no, I'm totally kidding. It's not. But you'd think it is by the way these people drive. These drivers cause multiple accidents daily, and Pittsburgh has this vibe of constant road rage. Many visitors complain that the locals change lanes recklessly, drive way too fast, and roll straight through stop signs. Be aware of this and be cautious. Just treat everyone on the road like they're on the verge of having a psychotic episode and could freak out at any minute and you'll be fine. Number 8, air quality. If at all possible, while in the city of Pittsburgh, try not to breathe. This is because the Air Quality Index reports Pittsburgh air being 12% worse than the national average. While I understand that's not the absolute worst in the country, that's certainly not good. And what's scary about that, it used to be so much worse. Pittsburgh was close to that Cleveland type of pollution, and Cleveland outclassed the rest of the field for decades. Number 7, winter. Weather in Pittsburgh is less than ideal, to say the least. In the winter months, temperatures frequently drop below freezing and really don't rise for months at a time. To make things worse, the city gets about 27 inches of snow every single year. I went in January, so it was cold. It was so cold I actually wished I was fatter. That trip my wife got me a scarf. I don't wear scarves, but when I first got there and got out of the airport and into that cold, I was hunting in my bag for that scarf. It was really neat. It was actually a repurposed fabric, meaning I guess they've used fabric before, tore it up, and made these things. It was really neat, handmade. The way things used to be, handmade. So it was okay to wear according to the dude handbook, you know. Really, it was really warm. I really liked it. I still have it, actually. If you want one, I'll leave a link below. It's by Lady Bree. That's her name that makes them. It's really neat. Moving on. Number 6, public transportation. Pittsburgh once had an amazing public transportation system. Sadly, they still offer the same services they did 10 years ago. With the booming population in recent years, the city has not been able to keep up or make any major improvements to the system that they have. Today, it's estimated that a third of all Pittsburgh commuters wait more than 25 minutes for a bus or a train to arrive. And that sucks, especially in the winter. I mean, unless you have one of my really cool scarves that I still own. Number 5, employment. If you're able to find a job before moving to Pittsburgh, it's probably a good idea. I mean, like I've said in past videos, This one's kind of common sense. I really shouldn't have to say it, but we do live in a world where we have warning signs on irons telling people not to iron their clothes while wearing them. The unemployment rate is 3.8%, which is about average, but the poverty rate is 22%, which is 47% higher than the national average. The reason this is a reason not to move to the Steel City, there's other cities that don't have enough people to fill all the jobs they have in our current economy. Some cities, all you need is a pulse, a good eye, and a hook, or a good eye and a hook at the same time to get a job. Number 4, smoking in bars. Whether you have sensitive lungs, not a fan of smoking, or you're allergic to cancer, it's important to know that it's actually legal to smoke in some bars in the city. In case this is an issue with you, you might want to call ahead to verify if the establishment allows smoking in their building. It's just something you should know. They smoke in their bars there, where I guess about 75% of the country, they don't. Number 3, crime. Crime is pretty bad in the city of Bridges. Like most big cities, you got a lot of stupid people doing a lot of stupid stuff, and this equals crimes. There's about 3,000 crimes per every 100,000 residents. This makes their crime rate about 38% higher than the national average. This dude was caught with magic mushrooms just outside of Pittsburgh. He'd bought them in Pittsburgh and was on his way home when he got confused, entered someone else's apartment looking for his keys and his puppy. The best part is, he doesn't own a puppy. And this wasn't even his building. And his keys were on him. This is the actual mugshot. The police suspect he may have taken some of the mushrooms before they captured him. They're not sure. If that doesn't scare you, keep in mind Pittsburgh is only safer than 9% of the other cities in the United States. Number 2, the drinking water crisis. Up until May of 2018, Pittsburgh was going through a horrible water crisis. Officials found lead in the water. This was due to the conditions of the old pipes, and instead of replacing the old pipes and putting in new pipes and fixing the entire issue, the city kept the old pipes but passed a law that would allow the government to put certain chemicals in the drinking water to make it less toxic. That makes zero sense to me. I don't think more chemicals is really the answer here. And number 1, education. Education in Pittsburgh seems to be taken very lightly. The average school test score is 9% lower than the state average, with only about 85% of those students graduating high school. Then those who do graduate, only about 40% of them go on to get a 4-year degree. Pittsburgh has some great schools and colleges, don't get me wrong. Just on average, they aren't doing too good. Recently, on January 8th actually, 2019, a family of a special needs student filed a lawsuit alleging their son was placed in a chokehold by a teacher and later handcuffed. I know, sounds like a Saturday night at my cousin's house, but really, that's no way to handle a first grader. We'll find out how that lawsuit, pans out. Apparently the kid was having an outburst and they decided that this was the appropriate way to handle it. I'll be following that. I want to find out what happens. Alright, so that's my top 10 reasons not to move to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is not really a terrible city. It's actually a very nice city. It just has some problems like the rest of them. A lot of good people live in Pittsburgh. A lot of good people have come from Pittsburgh. But these are just some things to keep in mind if you're thinking about moving there. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget all the links below, including Lady Bree's link down there. It's really neat stuff. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.